A beef between two titans of the New York music scene hits the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Why 50 Cent was brought up this week during emotional witness testimony. Combs and 50, they've been at odds for a long time. And now, one of them is facing the possibility of spending the rest of their life in federal prison, and the other is not holding back or hiding the apparent joy they find in that possibility happening with a guilty verdict.
Diddy is spiraling. The man who once stood unshaken at the top of the music industry, who built an empire on swagger, vision, and relentless ambition, is now pacing the edge of a cliff. The calm, controlled image that took decades to craft is beginning to fracture, and the person hammering those cracks open is none other than 50 Cent.
Sean Diddy Combs and 50 Cent. These two go back a long time. They have been rivals for a long time. And this week we learned that, at least from Diddy's side of things, this feud apparently went far beyond words. 50 Cent's name came up during the testimony this week of Capricorn Clark. She is a former assistant of Sean Combs who went on to become the head of marketing for his Sean John clothing brand. Clark rose successfully and professionally through the ranks of Diddy's world during her time working for him, which stretched between 2004 to 2018, so she saw a lot. Clark claimed that Diddy would threaten her, and she says he even kidnapped her in 2011. All of this matters as we build up to how 50 Cent kind of factors into what she said on the stand. Now, Capricorn Clark started working for Bad Boy after she worked for Death Row Records. Now, that's surprising, since Death Row was ran by perhaps Diddy's most hated enemy, Suge Knight. Clark said that one of her good friends had a baby with Suge Knight, and that's how she knew him. And in perhaps the most shocking story from her testimony, Clark claimed that shortly after she started working for Diddy, Diddy and his security guards took her to Central Park after dark, and Diddy said, quote, "He told me he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me." It is an allegation that paints Combs as someone who is ready to take a life. But as Capricorn Clark's testimony continued, she brought up another rival of Sean Diddy Combs and another allegation that he made an ominous threat of violence. Clark testified, when working for Diddy, they went to a press event at MTV and 50 Cent was there. And just wait until you hear what she says Diddy told 50's manager. 50 Cent's real name is Curtis Jackson. He rose to fame in the early 2000s. You might remember songs like In the Club. You might remember that he was the leader of the rap group G-Unit. Now, 50 grew up in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Diddy, also a New York native. He was born in Harlem, grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, just about 20 miles away. And even though they both had success in music, they both rose to fame representing the city of New York and the rap scene there, they have been longtime rivals. In 2006, 50 Cent released a diss track about Diddy. So almost 20 years ago, this goes back a long way. And in that diss track, he says, quote, "Who shot Biggie Smalls? We don't get them. They gon' kill us all. Man, Puffy know who hit that expletive. Man, that expletive soft." Now, 50 is accusing Combs there of knowing who killed his friend, the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace. Wallace and Puffy were incredibly close, but Wallace was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles in 1997, and no one has ever been charged for pulling the trigger. This all happened during really the height of the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry of the 90s, which involved Suge Knight, who we mentioned earlier. 50 Cent has also accused Diddy of orchestrating the murder of death row rapper Tupac Shakur, who died in 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting. This is Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. He was arrested in September 2023, and he is the only person facing charges related to Tupac's murder. But 50 Cent has continued to push the allegation that Sean Combs either knows something or did something for Tupac to end up dead, though Diddy has denied that. But in a 2023 Instagram post, 50 wrote, "Damn, so Pac got lined by brother love, LOL, time to lawyer up, expletive, might get sticky," with a pic of Suge Knight in a car with Tupac. Diddy, who has a lot of names, Puff.
This is not just a petty back and forth. This is not another playful jab in an Instagram comment section. This is a targeted, deliberate assault, and the things 50 Cent is hinting at have the potential to dismantle everything Diddy has ever built. For years, the two men have danced around each other in a strange mix of rivalry and respect. They have traded barbs, clowned each other publicly, and occasionally appeared to brush it all off as part of the entertainment business. But this time, it's different. The tone has shifted. 50 is not joking. The words are heavier, the insinuations darker. And people are starting to realize this may be more than just a feud. It might be the opening moves of a calculated takedown. It began with 50 doing what he does best, dropping bombs in plain sight, posts online that at first seemed like jokes but contained layers of meaning for those who knew how to look. Memes hinting at moguls living double lives, photos of private jets and luxury resorts with captions implying deals that aren't signed in boardrooms, phrases about people paying for silence.
Daddy, Puffy, Puff, and Brother Love is one of those other names. Now, from Diddy's side of things, again, he's denied having anything to do with Tupac's murder, and he's also denied having anything to do with Christopher Wallace's death, and he's denied publicly having issues with 50 Cent. Here's what Combs said when he was asked about a beef with 50 in a 2018 interview with the radio show The Breakfast Club, Power 105.1 FM.
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
With Fifth. He loves me. He loves me.
Do y'all really
can't
have
see
a
it?
beef?
I mean, y'all can't see it.
No, we can't see
Y'all
it,
can't
man.
see that he loves me?
But see,
you really think that's hate?
If you look at 50's social media, you can see he has a lot of posts about Diddy. And this is what he posted the day that federal agents in Miami raided Combs' mansion ahead of his arrest on the charges that he's now on trial for. 50 Cent posted on X, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." 50 Cent also included a link to his G-Unit clothing brand in that post. While Diddy in the Breakfast Club clip said that 50 Cent actually loves him and there was never a beef, on the stand this week, Capricorn Clark said otherwise. Clark said that she was at this press event at MTV with Diddy and 50 Cent was also there, all of this happening in New York. Clark said, quote, "After the interview wrapped up, myself, Puff, and Chris Lighty got in the elevator." Clark said that Lighty was an entertainment manager who, on paper, was managing Diddy at the time, but was also 50 Cent's manager at the time. Prosecutors asked Clark what happened in the elevator, and she said, quote, "Puff told Chris, because they were having some sort of issue, like, I really don't like all the back and forth. I don't do that. I like guns." The prosecutor then asked, "What's the issue with an individual?" And Clark responded, he had an issue with 50 Cent. She said Combs was very serious when he said that. In this case, it has become common to hear testimony from witnesses about alleged threats by Diddy. In fact, several witnesses have said that Diddy regularly threatened to fire people, to beat people, like his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura, and in this case, making a threat involving firearms to settle a dispute, per the testimony of someone who was one of his closest associates for more than a decade. Invoking gun violence and some sort of veiled threat, that could be scary for some, but apparently not 50 Cent. On Instagram, 50 posted right after his name came up in the courtroom, quote, cut, wait a minute. Puffy's got a gun? I can't believe this. I don't feel safe, with a picture that looked like an AI image of 50 Cent on a movie set looking serious. And he wasn't done. Shortly after that, he posted another AI image on Instagram of him in a Yankees hat with a very scared look on his face with the caption, "Oh my goodness, itty bitty Diddy wants me dead. I have to lay low." Sad face emoji. "I think I'm gonna hide out at the playoff game tonight, LOL. Then the next day he posted what he did that night. He went to the NBA playoff game between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. And you can see him here in a picture on the floor in a shirt that reads, quote, "Free Diddy," playing into the trolling that 50 Cent has done to Sean Combs over the years, even before Combs was ever accused of what he is on trial for. Now, Combs' trial is expected to last another month at least. He's charged with racketeering, sex trafficking by force, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not.
About contracts that have nothing to do with paper. About powerful men who have sold more than just their music to get where they are. The air changed immediately. Diddy's name began trending. Social media detectives started connecting the dots. And while many of those dots are still blurry, the picture they form is not flattering. Then came the real shot, the one that made the entire industry stop and take notice. 50 said that some of the biggest names in music have been making deals with the devil and he was not speaking in metaphors. The phrase landed like a thunderclap. Suddenly, the speculation wasn't just about money or fame. It was about morality. It was about crossing lines that cannot be uncrossed. Behind the scenes, the reaction from Diddy's camp was immediate and frantic. Calls were made in the dead of night. PR teams were instructed to be ready for anything. People who had been in Diddy's circle for years suddenly went silent. Appearances were canceled. Planned events were postponed. There was a shift in the air, a tension that even casual observers could feel. Something about 50's words had hit a nerve and hit it hard. What makes this different from past controversies is the scope.
Guilty. Join us now to talk more about the trial of Sean Diddy Combs and everything that's going on inside the courtroom is Afi Patterson, civil and criminal defense attorney. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. We're focusing on what was a minor moment in the grand scheme of everything we heard in the trial this week, but there's this anecdote that Capricorn Clark told about what related to 50 Cent, but what Diddy allegedly told 50 Cent's manager at MTV during her time of working for Diddy. What did you make of that? Sean Combs saying, I don't like the back and forth, but I like guns.
I think it goes to the overall case. They've been saying that Diddy was a dangerous guy. If he made a threat, he could back it up. And I do recall reading that she said that his demeanor was very, very serious. And knowing his history, his violent history, knowing about the beef between Biggie and Tupac, I think that it probably frightened her. And I think that just again, her knowing about his violence, his propensity for violence, his behavior with her, his behavior with Cassie, his behavior with other employees, he's just continually reinforcing that violence. So I think it was a really good moment for the government.
Yeah, it's just, and it seems like there are these little moments along the way where there are some celebrity names that pop up. This case, it was 50 Cent. We heard earlier in the trial, Usher and Neo were at a dinner where Cassie was allegedly assaulted. It was unclear whether they saw that, but it was said that they were there. As far as the history of 50 Cent and Diddy, do we know how it started? I know that 50 Cent had a diss track, I think around 2006, claiming that Sean Combs knew who killed Biggie Smalls. But is there a particular incident that happened that made 50 Cent just seem to really start to come at Sean Combs?
I don't know what's ground zero for them. I've seen, interviews that 50 has given saying that it's all business with them. I know they both have alcohol lines, and I know, they're both from New York. I think 50 is maybe from Queens and Diddy is from Harlem. I don't know what their ground zero is, but I know that since this all came out, 50 has not stopped. He's been taunting Diddy online. You, of course, know about the documentary. I believe it got picked up by Netflix, and he is supposedly donating the proceeds to victims of domestic violence. Diddy has had his knee on his neck and his foot to the gas on Diddy for a while, but again, I don't know where it started.
Yeah, I mean, 50 Cent, for many people, if it was ever, there was an anecdote that came out that someone had said, oh, I like guns when talking about a back and forth, it might scare you. 50 Cent was at the Knicks-Pacers game in Indiana with a free Diddy t-shirt on, sitting courtside the next day. It's different. It was different. I look back, and we aired a bit kind of leading into this interview, a clip from the Breakfast Club. It was 2018, and Diddy was on the show, and they asked about the issues that he had with 50 Cent. And he said, there's no issues. I love him. He loves me. He was kind of joking about it. And then you hear these stories that come out, whether it's this one specifically about 50 Cent or just in general, the picture that's being painted by the government in this trial. For you,
this isn't about one lawsuit or one accusation. 50 Cent is pointing towards something systemic. He's hinting at a network of deals and arrangements that extend far beyond music into politics, corporate interests, and possibly even criminal underworld connections. Offshore accounts with unexplained transfers. Shell companies registered in tax havens. Partnerships that exist only on paper through layers of fronts and proxies. Asset movements that align suspiciously with legal troubles and ongoing investigations. And then the most dangerous suggestion of all, these deals are sealed not just with cash, but with leverage. The kind of leverage that comes from knowing secrets that can destroy reputations. Leverage is the invisible currency of the powerful. It is what keeps people silent when they should speak. It is what makes business rivals smile for the cameras, together. It is what makes artists sign away their life's work with no public fight. In 50's telling, Diddy has been stockpiling leverage for years, using it to buy not just influence, but protection. Protection from rivals. Protection from scandals. Protection from the law itself. And for a long time, it worked. But now, something has changed. 50 has decided to pull the curtain.
Comes to celebs speaking out about Diddy as if they're afraid to speak up. 50 replied in part, some of them were involved at the parties and enjoyed themselves, so they don't know what the F is on the tape or what's not on the tape. So they're not going to say anything because they might have had too much fun. And then you've got other people who look at it and go, well, that's not my business and I don't want to be in it. Then you got a part of our culture that says that's snitching or dry snitching. It's uncomfortable for me to say what I said because I've been saying this stuff for 4 or 5 years. Everybody else is not going to be as comfortable as I'm saying it. 50 Cent then alleged there's one famous friend that is aware of Diddy's alleged disturbing behavior. R&B legend Mary J. Blige, who got her start at Diddy's Bad Boy Records, has been a longtime friend of the embattled rapper and producer. But she reportedly has a great relationship with 50 Cent as well. When asked if Mary J. Blige reached out to 50, he responded, no. You know what? Mary never reached out to tell me not to F up Puffy because she knows he does that stuff. As Diddy and 50 Cent have long been in the rap game, they share another commonality, and that's 50 Cent's ex-girlfriend and the mother of his youngest son, Daphne Joy Navarez. The actress and OnlyFans model was named in Rodney Jones' suit against Diddy as she was referenced to as an alleged sex worker of Diddy's that also gets paid a monthly stipend. She has denied those allegations in a post made to social media, writing, I am deeply hurt by the lies in Rodney Jones' lawsuit. The claim that I'm a sex worker is 100% false and character assassination. I am retaining an attorney to explore all legal remedies against both Rodney and his attorney. 50 Cent seemingly poked fun at the allegation of the mother of his son being an alleged sex worker. In a post made to his social media page, 50 wrote a caption, I didn't know you was a sex worker, you little sex worker, LOL. But this would prompt Daphne Joy to respond to her ex again on social media, but this time would accuse 50 directly of rape and being abusive during their relationship. She would write in part, everything is a joke to you until our safety is compromised, which is happening now. You are wreaking real havoc, frenzy, and chaos onto people's lives. How would you feel if Sire was the one in handcuffs for nothing? Let's put the real focus on your true evil actions of raping me and physically abusing me. You are no longer my oppressor, and my God will handle you from this point on. You have permanently damaged the last hope I had for you as a father to preserve our family with these last and final false claims made against me. You have broken our hearts for the last and final time. Those allegations against 50 Cent would prompt him to fire back against his ex Daphne Joy and sue her for defamation. In his suit, 50 Cent said those allegations were unequivocally false and would claim she made the shocking allegations in retaliation after he moved to take sole custody of their son. Since that suit, Daphne has deleted her Instagram post accusing 50 of rape and physical abuse. 50 Cent was asked by The Hollywood Reporter the latest in the defamation suit. The rapper and television producer said he tiptoes around the Daphne stuff and explained why. He said, I got a family court case. The allegations that came out, she posted things to her page saying some crazy stuff. But this comes 8 hours after I filed for custody for my son. And she put that up in response to that, and I'm like, ugh. In this climate, you know how quickly they pass judgment. Things have worked out since she said those things. He went on to add, I'd like to respond and say some wild stuff, but I've got to sustain that for my son. 50 was asked if he was worried about the allegations, especially given he's making a docuseries about an alleged abuser. And 50 replied, it is damaging. It is damaging just to have anything said about you at this point, because you have people out there who don't believe your intentions. And if things are going in a positive direction for you and something pops, they gasp. He went on to say for entertainment purposes, they exploit that as much as possible, but there's no back.
And Diddy is scrambling to keep it from falling completely. Inside the industry, the ripple effect is already visible. People who were once close to Diddy are creating distance. Former collaborators are suddenly too busy for joint appearances. Brands are putting projects on hold. There is a growing sense that being too close to him right now could be dangerous. Even some of the people who owe their careers to him are going quiet. The same silence that once worked in his favor is now beginning to feel like abandonment. The question is why 50 Cent is doing this now. Some say it's pure rivalry, that he's taking a chance to wound an old adversary. Others believe it's deeper, that 50 sees himself as a truth teller, someone who will say what others won't because he can't be bought, can't be silenced, and doesn't care who he offends. Whatever the motivation, one thing is clear: this is not a bluff. 50 rarely fires without ammunition. If he's saying it, he believes he can back it up. For Diddy, the risk is catastrophic. If the truths 50 is hinting at are real and provable, they could bring down not just his brand, but his entire empire. Multi-million-dollar deals could collapse overnight. Properties and assets could be seized or frozen. Endorsements could vanish. And perhaps most damaging of all, the carefully constructed public image of a visionary mogul could be shattered beyond repair. Public opinion is a force that even money cannot fully control. And once it turns, it's nearly impossible to win back. The whispers behind closed doors are getting louder. Other powerful figures are asking who 50's sources are. Reporters are quietly probing old connections, looking for the first loose thread to pull. Lawyers are combing through documents. There are rumors that 50 has already provided journalists with enough information to start their own investigations. If that's true, the process is already in motion, and stopping it might be impossible.
Bad the MDC is. As Judge Furman noted, the state of affairs at MDC is unacceptable. In so noting, Judge Furman concluded that the conditions in the MDC qualify as exceptional reasons under the statute justifying, and this was the defendant in this case, Chavez's continuing release. Judge Furman found that the conditions at the MDC are, quote, dreadful in many respects, but three warrant particular emphasis. 1. Continued reports of inordinate periods of lockdown. 2. Claims that the facility provides inadequate and or substantially delayed necessary medical care, a particular risk in this case. And 3. General issues about the conditions at the facility. These conditions have not abated in Mr. Combs' detention at the facility. As the court is aware, during Mr. Combs' incarceration at the MDC, the facility was subject to an interagency sweep that was designed to achieve our shared goal of maintaining a safe environment for both our employees and the incarcerated individuals housed at MDC Brooklyn. They're actually quoting what the rationale was. In other words, there is a significant issue at the MDC related to the safety of employees and incarcerated individuals that require outside law enforcement action from multiple agencies to address. Importantly, MDC, as a jail, has a significant law enforcement presence within its walls 24 hours per day that are equipped with investigatory and often unregulated authority. Thus, the requirement of outside law enforcement agencies to ensure safety within the MDC is an admission that serious violence, mayhem, and chaos is occurring within the MDC that requires more than a Band-Aid raid, but rather surgery. Indeed, we are aware of ongoing threats of violence and actual violence in the facility such that Mr. Combs' safety is constantly at risk. And they go on to argue, though Mr. Combs has been a model inmate for his nearly year-long period of confinement, the violent conditions are still very much a concern for Mr. Combs and is an unnecessary confinement risk given the clear precedent of multiple similarly situated Mann Act convictions where defendants were released on conditions. Now, the government, by the way, would probably disagree with that statement of him being a model inmate. Remember when they accused Combs of trying to arrange three-way phone calls and buying the use of other inmates' phone privileges to try to make sure the government wasn't listening in, that he was having these private conversations, that he was allegedly trying to contact witnesses in the case, that he allegedly orchestrated a birthday campaign to help his public image while he was locked up. So if we hear a government response, I'm sure they're going to say something about that. Then the defense highlights he's not a risk of flight, he's not a danger to the community, which, by the way, I think are real key points here. But they seem to echo a lot of the same arguments that they have already stated to the court. And remember, they haven't been successful in the past. That he voluntarily came to New York last year to surrender himself to authorities, that he gave up his passport to his attorneys 6 months before his arrest, paid off his mortgage on his Miami home so it was free and clear for him to stay at while out on bond. He was just acquitted of the most serious charges that he was facing, which, by the way, carried decades, if not life in prison, that he's not a risk of flight. That's the basic argument. Now, when it comes to the danger argument, that is key. Why? Judge Subramanian had...
Diddy's panic is not just about what 50 will say next. It's about what happens when the rest of the world starts looking, when questions multiply, when old associates, bitter ex-employees, and disgruntled business partners see an opportunity to speak without fear. A man who has ruled with power and control for decades could suddenly find himself surrounded, with every enemy he's ever made sensing blood in the water. The tension now is unbearable. It feels like the air before a storm. Everyone is waiting for the next move, for the next post, the next revelation. And if history is any guide, 50 will not let this moment pass quietly. He will wait for the perfect time to strike. And when he does, the explosion will be deafening. The fallout will not be contained to Diddy alone. It will spread, touching anyone connected to him, anyone who has done business with him in the shadows. Diddy's grip on his empire has never felt weaker. Every passing day brings more questions, more whispers, more people willing to entertain. The possibility that the man they once saw as untouchable might be about to fall. And 50 Cent, cool and competent, seems to be enjoying every second. He has the patience of someone who knows he is holding the winning hand, and the ruthlessness to play it when it will hurt the most. This is no longer about petty insults or social media trolling. This is about legacy, about control, about survival. One man is fighting to protect everything he's built. The other is determined to expose it. And the rest of us are watching, waiting for the inevitable moment when the scissors close on the thread holding it all together. Because when it snaps, it will not be quiet. It will not be clean. It will be loud, messy, and unforgettable. And in that chaos, the truth, whatever it really is, will finally come out.